Ladies and gentlemen, Jeff Teolis is in our room. Amazing. You don't like this music? This music is awesome. Hello, everybody. 2001. Starting off with a bang.
2001?
Hello, everybody. 2021. That's how exhausted I am.
Yeah.
But I'm so excited to see you, Kyle.
I'm excited to see you too. The first
and everyone in the
this year.
chat. We did the Led Zeppelin reveal stream. Well, not really a reveal, but a deep dive stream last week, which was super exciting. But we didn't really get to talk to everybody in the chat during that. So it felt like years. It's been years since we've seen everyone. So hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, it is always sad. It's really fun talking to our guests, but I like the banter. I miss the banter.
Yeah.
You know,
today Kyle has a special show for us, and it's an easy one. Maybe too easy for some of y'all, but if you're new into pinball and working on your machines like I am, this will be a great show because Kyle's just gonna school us today, right? Some simple classic Bally.
It's gonna be some basic stuff, but I hope even people that might know a little more than the beginner might also be able to learn something. We're gonna do some basic troubleshooting too. Like the quickest and easiest way to solve, well, my idea of the quickest and easiest way to maybe get around some issues. You'll see later down the line. I need to interject though. You said 2001, and I was listening.
I know.
I was listening to the news, and like they were talking about, the September 11th terrorist attacks, and I was like, yeah, wow, geez, 2001, 10 years ago was a long time. And I was like, oh, crud. Like, no, that's 20 years ago now, not 10 years ago. Oops.
It's all a blur.
It's all a blur.
I think
but yeah, no, this will be fun. We didn't have a ton of time to come
let's go back to 1999.
It's funny because it's like a whole different, like everything was so different then. We were so carefree and yeah.
It was 99. We were playing Halo in our parents' basement.
Yep.
Not a care in the world.
What else was going on? I mean, I think I was still playing a lot of Diablo 2 and StarCraft.
Oh, thanks, Colin.
Age of Empires.
Oh, yeah.
Red
StarCraft 2.
Deleting like Word documents to try to get like a few more megabytes of space on my hard drive so I could install another game. Those were the days. Now I've just got like 3 solid state 1 terabyte hard drives in my computer, and it's just like, yeah, Steam, come on, keep installing more.
Ball machines. Michael Yan asked if we can move the stream to Wednesdays so you can get the free shipping code and still get parts by the weekend. Dang, that would be a good hack.
You should move your house closer to South Carolina so then you could still order on Tuesday and probably still get it tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
Right back at you.
That's pretty good.
We will have to figure it out. We're thinking about switching something up somehow, some way, but we also haven't really talked about that in months because we're so busy. So.
Yeah, well, here we are. We're going to work on strikes and spares. But before that, we go to my favorite segment, which is the product spotlight. I love this part.
I forgot about that. Wait, we didn't even ask everyone how their New Year's was and stuff.
We'll come back to them.
Okay, fine. Think about
they
how
want to see what the product
your holiday was.
Yeah, while we do the product spotlight, but don't get distracted because this product's really cool. Type in the chat what your pinball New Year's resolution is. A game that you really want to fix this year, a game you want to buy, play maybe. What's your pinball New Year's resolution for 2021?
We are getting close to that. Pinball shows. People might be able to get to play those games they haven't gotten to play yet. So.
All right, here we go.
What camera should I stand in front of?
Let's see. It's a socket cleaning stick. How cool is that?
Available at marcopinball.com. Also available at marcospecialties.com. Depending on how many letters you want to type. Now,
or Marco Spec.
Or Marco Spec. Or you could type in 77-SCS in Google and you'll get the same thing. Should I stand in front of the camera or should I sit back down?
You can stand in front of the camera if you want to tilt it up a little bit.
No, I don't want anyone to see my face. I prefer to be a talking neck. Now, I'll stand back a little bit. Here, I'll explain and then I'll get in front of the camera. Hey, okay, old games. Really notorious for having really crusty sockets, right? This game, we're going to talk about that later. There is a lovely tool. I forgot mine at the office. It's probably on Marco's desk, but here is mine, my used one. It's a socket cleaning stick. These are designed to go in and clean the crud out of your bayonet-based lamp sockets. This is your lamp socket. This is the socket cleaning stick. This thing will come in here and it can scrub the corrosion, dirt, dust off of the barrel. And this is also used to depress. It's a little stronger than a light bulb. This will depress the spring and plunger in here, which will also knock all of the dirt and crud off of the pin that carries the juice. Can you see that pin coming in and out? This is a super handy tool, especially when you've got very old pinball games that have very lazy lamp sockets. They're inexpensive. As you can see, this one's very short. You can extend the life of these. Buy one from us, cut it in half, and then you have 2 times as many socket cleaning sticks. You need one of these. If you've got an electromechanical game or an older Bally, an older Williams, especially if you have an older Bally, this is an invaluable tool. Yeah.
That one looks kind of, you've been using that one for a while. Does it ever get like rusted, or do you clean it after you clean the lamps?
When it gets really, when it starts to get crummy like this, like you can just keep snipping it off until it gets done. Lamp sockets get lazy, right? On these old Bally games, you've got juice coming in on this bracket, which is connected to the barrel, and then the other end of the juice gets connected via this tab to this pin, which hits the bottom of the light bulb. The most common place for these things to get crusty is that spring-loaded pin, that thing that's coming in and out right now. So this is a great way to be able to get in. What it does is it's kind of grippy. It's kind of like sandpaper. It will hold that pin and allow you to depress it and twist. That depressing and twist motion will knock a lot of the crud that's built up in between here off, thus creating a better working lamp socket. When you're really desperate, if you don't have the right socket, I've been known, and that's probably why it's so screwed up, you could chuck this thing in a drill. Put it in a drill and then really go hog wild on these lamp sockets. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, you need one. Use our free shipping code today to get one. And I don't even remember what the free shipping code is. So, Amoto, what is it?
Our free shipping code today is PT-socket.
Socket. Yes.
Socket. It seems fitting, right?
It's pretty fitting. Yeah, these
you need to add some other stuff into your cart, though, obviously. Or you can get 20 of these socket sticks and get free shipping.
Lifetime supply. Give one to your friends, all your pinball friends that you didn't give stocking stuffers to. Yeah, no, the old Bally games, they used really crummy, cheap lamp sockets. And it's really, really common for them to become intermittent. That's something we'll troubleshoot today, and I can show. We'll kind of go over to figure out, like, well, is it the light bulb? Is it the socket? Is it the SCR? Is it the connector? We'll try to do a pretty good troubleshooting path for that. But this is a great way to give the light socket one more chance before you unsolder it, throw it in the garbage, and replace it. So,
nice. Yeah. Well, so before we get into our lesson, we did ask everyone to put their New Year's resolution in the chat. So let's see. Max Jedi said, keep working on my Lord of the Rings.
Good
nice. Choice. Yeah. Vernicius, I need to fix CP and Lord of the Rings. CP. What's CP?
Captain Picard.
Oh, I love this game.
Gosh, what the heck?
Looking forward to getting GNR and TBL in a few months.
GNR is Guns N' Roses. I know that. TBL, the Black Lagoon, the Big Lebowski.
Oh, the Big Lebowski. Yeah.
That's a fun game.
I need to sell AIQ. I really want a WW. Man, that was the best comment.
The abbreviations
Champion
make
Pub.
My head explode.
Oh, CP is Champion Pub.
Oh.
Oh, Pez's resolution is to use more Kyle emotes. That's a good one.
Cool. Hopefully you'll get more chances. I'm gonna try streaming from my house and see if 20 megabits a second up is going to be acceptable bitrate to stream. So we'll see.
And you could do after hours pinball repair help.
Yeah. We'll fix my Grand Prix.
Let's see. Michael Yan picked up a high speed, is working on it, waiting for some parts for us to get in. Holly Sibilia is working on a black hole. Having some stuff going on with that.
You're always
maybe in the
Q&A
you can bring up. I think she had some questions earlier. You can bring that up in the Q&A at the end of the show. Start a full restoration on Evel Knievel. By Zoo 8 Jaeger. That's awesome.
It's a great game.
Lake 9. 8 Ball Deluxe will be back from the shop this month. Dang. Bat Out of Hell wants to win a pinball tournament.
Heck yeah.
Hey,
I want you
should
to
just
win
play
one too.
against us. Then you'll win.
I want you to keep finding cheap games in my area for me and tell me when they're for sale so I can go get them.
Yeah. Ooh, Don Ford's going to work on a Data East Batman.
Awesome.
That's awesome. Johnny Demonics.
My friend just sent me a ramp for a Data East Batman, so hopefully we'll have some reproduction decals for that sometime soon. I was thinking about sending the ramp off. I don't think that ramp has been reproduced yet either, so if I can find someone to reproduce it, that would be excellent as well. Big, complicated, and very commonly broken ramp on that game.
Oh, thanks, Midge, for posting the socket lamp cleaner thing.
Thanks,
on
Steve.
There. Thanks, Steve. NBA Fast Break by
I love
Justin.
That game. NBA Fast Break is great.
That's awesome. Everyone has a lot of fun things to look forward to.
My New Year's resolution is to finish that dang Indy 500 that I'm staring at right over there.
I know. Why are you so lazy? Lazy lamp. You're like a lazy lamp in a Bally.
Yeah. Hey, if you would have come over to my house last week and it helped me move, I could have had way more time.
My bad. My car broke down.
Oh, yeah. Anywho, yeah, we should all resolve to work on some more games and rescue more games. Keep them out of the dumpster. I'm looking at a lot of the games in here. So
how many people in the chat have a Classic Bally game in their collection? Bally.
If you don't have a Classic Bally game in your collection, you can just click that X in the top right and get out of here because you're missing out.
That's messed up. Don't say that.
Bally games are my favorite. I think I've made that very, very clear many, many times.
Yeah, Soundman has 8 Ball.
So, I don't know. Let's get started. There's a lot to go over.
Let's get started, Kyle. Yeah.
And keep an eye out for questions that people have, especially if they're super relevant to Bally stuff or what I just said. Let's try to get a lot of Bally knowledge going in here, and don't be afraid to interject and interrupt me, please. Let's see. I'm going to get the little camera. I think what we should do is we will start from, oh, hold on. It's kind of spaghettied. I think we should start from top to bottom. Let's start in the head. and then we'll go down. This is going to be a bit of review. But this is a classic solid-state Bally game. Bally started making, they were first to solid-state bat, I believe, in 1976 with Freedom. This is a cabinet that they used almost for like 6 or 7 years. Almost all of them are identical. So most of your Bally's are going to be the same. Let's start with the head. This strikes and spares is really gross. This back glass is really sad, but all in due time. The way to unlock your game, there's usually a key on the right side of the head. This one has been drilled out. If you have a fancy cabinet like Xenon or Space Invaders, the key is midway down the cabinet, like right here. And there's like a double back glass thing going on there. There's 2 games that did that. But this game, you would unlock your head, and then we can yank the back glass out. It comes up, down, and forward. If you are going to do any work in the head, this is kind of just basic tips. Don't leave the back glass here. It's always best to get it off, put it somewhere safe. If you are going to rest a back glass on another game or something like that, always do it with the front facing down. The back is unprotected and where all the ink is. If I dropped anything on this game, we would lose a ton of paint, but we're just doing some, exploration here, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. Once you remove the back glass, you have your insert panel. This is what all the manufacturers would call them, is an insert. You'll see that a lot on schematics or in manuals. The insert as your general illumination. It'll usually have some feature lights as well. The insert has your score displays and your credit match display. All Bally games would use 5 displays. You have 1 for each player, and then you had a dedicated display to show how many credits and your match number at the end of the game. Yeah, most games will have 2 latches on each side that you can pull up and open the insert, which is hinged, and that can get out of your way. While we have this out of the way and while we're in the head, I'm going to position a light to illuminate the head for us. Really quick.
Oh yeah, Jeff Barbari, that's a great tip. Laying a towel on the surface of the game when you lay your back glass on it, it's just extra protection. And yeah. Michael Yan asked, is there a way to seal the paint on the back glass?
There is, but this one's not worth saving. It's pretty bad, and you can get a new one.
What do you do?
I've run into, there's 2 things you run into when you have a back glass that's really crummy like this. You could try to touch it up. Generally, you will do a bad job. There are a few people out there that can do it pretty well, but it is difficult to match colors and tones and stuff. One thing that's really common and has happened to me when I've tried to do, a lot of people will talk about this triple thick Krylon clear sealant or something like that. That works sometimes. It can also be disastrous in a few ways. It can be disastrous in the sense that when something is this destroyed, you can get that Krylon, that clear paint, what's it called, clear coat, and what it can do is it'll actually slip underneath the ink, and it can start lifting the rest of the ink that is still adhered to the glass up and off, thus ruining the back glass you're trying to save. Another thing that can happen, and this happens to mostly people in like basements and stuff, but the Krylon will go on very thick and it can shatter glasses. This is something that I've never personally seen, but I've heard lots of horror stories on, where they will expand, contract at different rates, and whatever reason, like the Krylon acting like glue when these are trying to do elemental things, it can just explode. So just be wary, do at your own risk. This glass will be replaced. The way this right here is, can you switch to the small camera? Let's just look at this really quick, because this is common for this era of game. You see how you've got like teeny little flakes?
Yeah, it's gross.
So this is just burning. This is, on the way this insert is designed, I mean, we could look here on the back. These are all the general illumination sockets, right? You've got a lot of hot lamps that were sitting on behind this part of the artwork that then went and kind of baked it and made it really brittle, and it started falling apart. If this game, you know, had been left in maybe a better climate-controlled area, this might not have happened, but I digress. What I was getting at, though, was if we had another way that these can start to screw up is you'll get like bigger cracks into corners, and you'll have like, it's starting to kind of do it in these spots. This is things that the triple thick can help with, right? Is trying to get these bigger chunks that might start coming up stick and stay adhered. But with this, you got to deal with it or replace the glass. I wouldn't triple thick or do any sort of coating on this. It would ruin it. It's already ruined, so just get a new one if you're that lucky. A lot of games you can't get new back glasses for.
But we actually have some back glasses of Strikes and Spares.
Yep.
In our inventory.
Classic Playfield Reproductions did run this. They did a playfield and a glass, and if you don't own anything from them, they do excellent reproduction work. Okay, once we have the insert open, we are exposed to the head. There's a few things going on in the head, and this will vary depending on what game you have. This is Strikes and Spares is a very early Bally game. This game still uses chimes. So on certain games, you may have a soundboard right here. Bally used many different soundboards. I'm not going to give a number, but you could have one of the early bleep and bloop ones. You could have one that did a little bit more interesting sounds. You could have a squawk and talk, which was a combination of voice and sound. You could have a cheap squeak. You could have a turbo cheap squeak. They made a bunch of funny names for soundboards. But the primary things you will always find in the head of a Bally game are your computer in the upper left, your lamp driver on the bottom left, your solenoid driver and voltage regulator board on the upper right. On the earlier games, you have your transformer and your rectifier board here. We've worked on this for just a second when we were installing our 12-volt bypass modification a couple weeks ago. With a game like Xenon, the rectifier board and transformer are on the bottom of the cabinet. This one, it's all in the head. Again, when you do come in here, I will forewarn, if this is news to you, there is high voltage present on this board, so be very, very careful when getting your hands around here or unplugging things if the game is plugged into the wall. Be very careful. Yes, so back to here. This will be a common sight in a lot of Bally games, replacement computers. These games are the very common death point for a Bally game would be acid damage on the MPU. You don't tend to find too many Bally games anymore that are still actually running the original MPU, unless you do have someone's done a bunch of work to it or something. But this is a real common replacement. This is what we sell from Alltech, the Ultimate MPU. This board is great. I use it in many games. A lot of customers really like these things. Every single Bally and early Stern games ROM is loaded into this chip. You've got a set of dip switches here that'll allow you to change your program. This can be used in any solid state Bally or early Stern game. It's very trick. The people that make it support them very well. I've never actually had a real problem with one. They're great. Alltech does make replacement boards for basically every single board in the game. You can get a replacement solenoid driver board, a replacement lamp driver board. The power rectifier boards of both styles are available. These are very repairable by a novice. If you just got the game and you really want it to work, buy all three of them. You'll have a really reliable, solid board set. then you could go in and learn how to repair the old ones by swapping them in and out, make changes, and see what you can do. But I will say, I cut my teeth working on early Bally games. My first game was A Creature from the Black Lagoon, but other than that, I really started to learn how all this stuff worked on this board set. It's very, very simple, and I don't know. I really like repairing them. They're fun to do, for the most part. So yeah, I think we can move to the front of the game and leave this alone for a minute, unless there's any questions.
Oh, look, Nolan said, Kyle has successfully made me want to buy a Bally game of this era. Yay.
They're really good.
Future Spa, mostly because the ridiculous back glass. And the playfield art has lots of ridiculous Easter eggs on it, too.
Future Spa is also a really good game.
Yeah, it's a fun game, too, regardless. Get it.
You'll really enjoy it. There's the reason, I mean, Bally was the king of pinball from like 75 to 82 for a reason. I mean, they made a really reliable game. They made really beautiful games, and they were fun to play. I love them.
Oh yeah, Holly says Centaur is fun. Isn't that one of your favorite games, Kyle?
Centaur is my favorite pinball machine of all time. I will do anything to get me a Centaur. I almost have a whole Centaur. I have. Oh
yeah, you have the playfield, right?
I have 2 playfields, an original one and a reproduction one. I've got a bunch of the original parts. I've got a back glass. I've got an apron. I've got so much stuff. I just need to get a game and kind of piece one together at some point. But yeah, I know when you look at the art, I mean, again, let's compare this game to a game like Flash. Flash is a better game. It really is. I mean, Flash was groundbreaking, and there's a reason why they sold like 19,000 of those games. It was incredible. But the one thing that really held Williams back from the larger sale numbers that Bally was really pulling in was the art. Bally was the first company to have an internal art division. Companies like Williams and Gottlieb still outsource their art to art companies, and it really shows. Paul Ferris, the artist that did the art on Centaur, was the first art director at Bally. Bally also amazingly had like almost the same art team from like the late 70s all the way until they were acquired by Williams. Greg Ferris, who now is the art director at Stern Pinball, was working cutting screens and doing art for Bally in the late 70s. So it really shows.
And then he created the hard body art and refuses to ever admit it.
He regrets it.
Hey,
yeah.
Can we do one thing, Kyle?
Yeah.
We do have a question from Hex Texan, but sorry, everyone. The Sony can is driving me nuts. Can we drop down the exposure on it? I think it's still really high from the Led Zeppelin stream.
Yeah, totally.
Like, it looks great where you are there, but it's a little blown out.
I'll move my...
Yeah, exposure and just drop it down a little.
Or still keep it manual, but just...
Oh, yeah. You can keep it on auto. That's fine. It's not going to move. Go back to auto. That's
all
fine.
Right.
That's fast.
I moved my weird-looking head out of the way, too.
I'll stop having anxiety over here. Okay, so we have a question from Hex Texan saying, any tips on how to ruggedize the power supply in there?
How to what?
Ruggedize.
Ruggedize. That sounds like a word that I would make up.
Make more rugged?
Yes. We went over a bit of troubleshooting on the solenoid driver board and kind of future-proofing and improving and making some good improvements to that board. I guess that's the thing with like, there's not just one power supply on a Bally game, right? Like, what's the power supply? The thing that makes the usable voltages or the things that turns AC into DC? So you've got 2 boards. It is really common to have that transformer board burn up and get really nasty. And you do have to do some component replacement on that board very often. But we'll go over that at some point. Look, if you want to learn something about the solenoid driver board, take a look at the video we did sometime last month, or no, 2 months ago, I think.
Episode 35, maybe.
Yeah.
It was called bulletproofing.
Yeah, and I didn't like that word. So.
And then.
But
we
yeah.
changed it to future proofing.
Future proof.
Pez wanted to be bulletproof though.
So let's turn this thing on. I think one thing that we should go over is the kind of confusing test system that Bally has in their games. It's not super confusing, it's just annoying. The power switch on this game, as in basically every pinball game, is under the bottom right, behind the front right leg. We'll let this thing boot up. 6, 7 flashes, and life. So, what you have is, let's do the small camera if you would. We'll introduce the button. You have one button. You see my bald head, and now you can see the button. This is how you navigate the test menu. And yes, you are right. It is one way. You are only going in one direction. It's always forward. So it can be kind of a pain in the butt. But let me, actually, let me pull out the manual too. And we'll kind of go through what each of these things are. We're not going to really deep dive into it, but I want to show you how to use it and what the most usable bits are.
Oh no, our banner fell down.
Where?
2021 catastrophe.
Oh my gosh, above Viking?
Yeah.
That's
Viking
terrible.
pulled it down with its force. Freya.
Well, if I would have been paying attention, maybe I could have caught that and re-adhered it. You know what? Let's just do it live. I don't need no manual. Okay, so I'm going to focus the one camera on the insert, and it's going to be a little crazy just because of the way the displays come through, but let me step over this side now. Okay, so there is a test menu, or a test system in this game. The first 6 or 7 presses are going to be like your tests, right? Lamp test, switch test, solenoid test. Let's go through now. So right now we're in attract mode, right? It's showing what the previous score was and the current high score. While we're in attract mode, if I hit this red button inside the cabin or on the coin door one time, it's going to put the game into lamp test. So in lamp test, it is going to flash every single controlled lamp in the game. Can we get the hand? Oh, never mind. It already is. I'm sorry. Forgive this. These old Bally games cannot run LEDs without some modification. So they are flickering. That is common for old Bally games with LEDs. I will be replacing all of these with incandescent lamps at some point. But we can come down here on the playfield, and you can see that the controlled lamps are pulsing. Most of them are anyways. If you have an old Bally game, it is very likely that you struggle to keep some of these lamps lit, or they're very dim, or not all of them will work no matter how many light bulbs you put in, you just can't figure it out. We'll mess with that later. But the first press will give us lamp test. So every lamp that is driven by the computer will be flashing on and off. We push the button again, we're going to get our display test. I think we did this last time we worked on this game. Again, it's not going to come through great, but what this does is it goes through on every display and lights up every digit. So this is useful. So you can tell if a game has any digit problems. A digit is going to be position, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you've got segments. Each one of these numbers is built up of a segment as well. So you've got segment A, B, C, D, E, F, and then the center one is G. So watching this test will allow me to see if these displays are functioning properly. These still are gas plasma displays. They do run on high voltage. But if you had any of our pin score displays, they would function the same way. So that is useful. When we step the next time on the button, that's going to do solenoid test. It is going to run through each solenoid that the computer can control. So not only do we get a visual, right, watching each solenoid on the playfield, if it's on the playfield, fire. Let's catch it.
That'd be a good alarm clock.
So anywho, yeah, so that one does that. Now, I'm going to let the noise and racket keep going. I'm going to get the manual because we are missing one solenoid. I want to see what that is. We're missing
wait,
solenoid.
How can you tell that you're missing a solenoid?
You can kind of hear the beat, right? I can hear all 14 solenoids go, but number 2 doesn't do anything.
Oh, so when it's number 2 on the screen, it was kind of silent.
Exactly. So on the displays, it is showing a number correlated with a solenoid. In our manual, okay, this is a little annoying, so we'll get back here in just a second. We're going to go in the manual, and in these Bally games, it will tell you which solenoid is which number, I believe. Yeah, okay, so we can go here. On this page in the Strikes and Spares manual, it's not always page 17, but...
Oh, wait, hold on. Let me go to the bigger screen.
Oh, you want to go here?
Hold on, wait. No. You go back to the handheld. Wait, is that it?
So what we've got here is the Solenoid Identification table. Oh, wow, that's obnoxious. Hold
on. I'm focusing.
Ta-da!
Yeah.
So a Bally game can drive 19 solenoids. A standard Bally game that uses a standard only one solenoid driver board without any expander boards or anything. So, you know, this game uses 14 of those drives. There are 5 drives on this game that it does not use. So we can go through, we'll go each one, right? Number 1 is the out hole kicker. That is where the ball lives, kicks it into the shooter lane. Number 2 is the knocker. That one I really should have noticed. I mean, I noticed it was gone, but that one's a really loud one to not have there. We can take a look at that in a second. The next 4 on this game are going to be your chimes, so tens, hundreds, thousands, and 10,000s. Then you've got left, right, and bottom bumper, left and right slingshot, the coin lockout coil, and the flipper enable relay. You might not know what either of those 2 are. Let's take a look really quick. And we'll take a look at the knocker, because in this game, the knocker is in the head. Well, that's really easy. Someone cut the wire.
Hit by the door.
Huh?
Oh, no.
This is really common. Okay, so with electromechanical...
Like the sound.
What's up?
Of the knocker? They cut the wire because they don't like the sound of the knocker?
Exactly. In a lot of electromechanical and a lot of early solid-state games, you will find that when they went to a home, someone ripped the chime box out and it's nowhere to be found, or they cut all the wires to the chimes. You cut the knocker because they're noisy. I just got a bow and arrow that someone took the chime box out, and now I have to find a Bally chime box for him. So,
oh, no. IndiePin says you skipped the saucer relay.
Really?
Said, what's that?
Did
oh,
I?
and
oh,
Collins...
yeah. Sorry. Number 3 is the saucer. Okay, yeah, sorry. I did totally miss one. Saucer.
Saucer.
So
got the saucer.
Let's talk about really quick what there are 2. It's kind of funny. I mean, when you think about it, like every pinball machine, every early Bally game has like almost 8 drives automatically just taken up, right? Like every game has an out hole kicker. Every game has 2 slingshots. Every game has a coin lockout relay. Every game has a knocker. Every game has a flipper enable relay. So it's like, shucks, it's like, you know, they designed 19 solenoid drives in here, but the early games like automatically already had 6 used. So you only had 13 to go with for the rest of the game. Anywho, the flipper enable relay is this guy right here.
Oh.
I'm going to try to keep some light in here. Right there. So when you start a game, one of the things the program does is you start a game, it does its startup sequence, and then one of these transistors will turn this relay on, which then provides or completes the circuit so you can use the flippers. That is how they keep the flippers from not being enabled all the time. I have had games come to me for repair where the symptom is, you know, it's like, my game, the flippers work all the time. So sometimes you'll have a shorted out driver, a shorted out transistor array, that the data comes here to turn this on. Sometimes the relay itself can actually be so dirty that you need to clean it and adjust the points for them to work again. So that is what a flipper enable relay is. Another coil that a lot of people don't understand, and that is kind of reasonable because not a lot of games are commercially operated anymore, is this guy here. This is the coin lockout relay. You see this guy?
Yes.
A lot of people might have one of these on their games at home that's really noisy and makes a loud buzzing noise like this, maybe. You hear that?
Yeah.
This relay here, what this is for is it will not allow you to put a coin in while the computer is thinking. The game needs to think, and these switches do report to the computer. So what happens is when this is when you put a coin in, let's see if I can get it to do it. No, it's not doing it. Okay. I don't remember how they do it on Bally's, but what it is here for is for when you cannot put any more money into the game. Like, let's say that the game has a maximum of 5 credits, and if you were to go put more money into it, this would disengage. And what that'll make happen is if you put any money into the coin door, it will automatically reject. This didn't last for too long. I mean, they got rid of this once computers got smart enough. On electromechanical games where each coin had to be processed via the motor turning, this was important because I have problems with this now with my electromechanical games on location, right? Some of them are 50 cents. You put a quarter in, and then someone immediately sticks another quarter in. They're like, hey, it ate my quarter. Like, no, you just put it in too fast. And I think, you know, that was something that was really common knowledge back in the 70s, but you just don't know now because we don't have electromechanical devices on location anymore. So anyways, sorry, long explanation for something very boring.
No, that was interesting. That was cool. Colin is very excited that you got a bow and arrow.
Me too.
Twinsies.
It's really gross, but it is absolutely worth saving. So I really need to get a chime box. I think I have the resonator. I'm thinking about having one of my coworkers 3D print one and see if we can 3D print the resonator box and see if we can offer that. I'd also like to see if I could get the brackets redone. I have had a lot of electromechanicals come through my shop that do not have chimes in them, and there's not much I can do. Unfortunately, those brackets just don't exist unless you can find one on eBay or something like that. But anywho, let's continue. Where were we? Solenoid test. So first button, lamp test. Second button is display. Third one is going to run through all of our solenoids. The fourth one is going to be switches. Now, I don't have the glass off, but let's see here. If I push the, so check it out. See how it's saying 6 on the displays now? Can you get the other camera on the insert, the small handheld?
Think about it. I see a 6.
So what this is saying, or what this is showing, is there is a switch active currently. To do this, we need to use information in the head or use our manual. If we look at our manual here, switch 6 is the credit button. Credit button in today's speak means the start button, right? So
right.
Now what you will see with Bally games, I believe, let's try to prove this by maybe slipping the glass off a teeny bit. Give me a sec. It's going to prioritize the highest number switch to show you, I believe, if I remember how this works. I really don't often use the switch test in a Bally game. Most of the time, if I'm troubleshooting a switch, it's usually a simple problem, or I will just do it in gameplay. This test actually can be really useful, though. Maybe someone was there when I was fixing Spy Hunter. I was fixing a Spy Hunter on a Saturday morning on a stream. Game booted up fine. It was great. And I was able to start a game. But immediately, the game would just die. Like, it couldn't run the program or something. And I was super confused. it took me a minute, but it turns out that on these Bally games, a lot of the switches have little capacitors running across them, and it's really common for those capacitors to short out. What was happening, and I couldn't find this without going into switch test, that was the only thing that worked for me, was that the capacitor had shorted, and as soon as I started the game, it immediately shorted out. So when I went into switch test, I immediately saw, wait, the ball, you know, it's like, wait, there's something going on. You know, the ball was in my hand, and it was showing me that the plumb bob was closed. So I snipped that, and the whole thing worked. It was glorious. Anywho, sorry, I'm getting really ranty today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to find a switch with a number higher than 6. Number 6 was credit button. So I think if I were to, I'll just hold one of these pins down. All of those pins are higher than 6. And if I remember correctly, it is going to show us the highest number. Let me slide the glass back a teeny bit. So I'm going to hold this down, and we've got 6 in our display. I'm going to hit one of these pins. I'm totally wrong. Or it's just not working. Let's see.
Dave Valansky's here.
Hi, David.
Which one does he hit?
Okay, no, I'm wrong. It shows the lower number. Right, so okay, if I'm holding switch number 24, switch number 24 is the number 8 pin. If I hold down the credit button at the same time, it's going to override and show 6. So if you have switches stuck on your Bally game, this thing can be pretty useful. To go through and figure it out, but since they're limited to just one display, they can't show like a big old switch matrix like you can on a dot matrix or an LCD screen. They do kind of prioritize numbers. So if you have a number that is lower on the switch chart, it will show the lower number before higher numbers. So you need to clear or open that switch. And again, when I say lower or higher, we have to refer to what is going on here on the switch self-test chart, right? So they are numbered, and that correlates on the display. Does that make sense?
Sort of.
Sort of. It's not that important. You will slowly figure these things out if you have a stuck switch. Maybe we'll get to use it in purpose one day. So it's hard for me to explain, I guess. The next test, which one is this? Okay. So there's only a couple tests in the Bally games. There's only a few things that the game will show you. The rest of it is all bookkeeping stuff. These you do need to refer to your manual. I do know for the fact the first 3 entries in a Bally game are your replay thresholds. So you can tell we've switched into audits now because we have a 1 in the credit match.
Oh, sorry.
We have a 1 in the credit match, and we're showing a number up here. So right now, let me see if I can find it in the manual. But
so that means you're in the audit mode?
Yeah, now we've gone through the self-test. We always have to go through the self-test. If we want to go to the audits, we have to go through all 6 of those presses before we can jump ahead and get to the audits. Now, that goofy little thing I sent you yesterday, Emoto, that showed the whatchamacallit, why the keypad thing is so great. Does this make sense now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, it takes a long time. If you need to get to number 5 here, audit number 5, and you click through it to number 6, you either have to turn the game on and off again or proceed all the way to the end and then try to get back there. It was annoying to operators. They did do a few things to make it a little easier to navigate, but it wasn't necessarily the right move all the time. Anyways, I don't remember where this is in the manual. I don't want to waste a bunch of time finding it, but one common thing you will be doing a lot of the time with these Bally games is there's no free play setting. On a Classic Williams game, you can set the maximum credits to 0. If you set maximum credits to 0, the game is free. Right,
yeah. That's a good tip. That's a good tip. The 150,000, I think that's Wicked Pizza Pinball Pit. Chuck said that's the replay threshold.
This is the replay threshold, and it is very easy to set a Bally to kind of a quasi free play instead of,
needing to put some money in, opening the door. I mean, I see a lot of people trying to wire up, you know, when you press the start button, you've got a switch that closes, right? So I've seen people like get really creative and put a switch that when you're pushing the button, it closes first, and that adds a credit, and then when you push it all the way, it starts the game. Super clever, right? But what I like to do is load the game up on 40 credits and then make the replay value 10,000 points, which is almost impossible to not get, thus making the game basically always awarding a replay. So on these older Bally games, I'm going to double check and make sure I'm right here by flicking this switch.
Can you explain what an audit is?
The audits are the things that the game keeps track of. So I don't have the full thing in the manual. I don't want to spend a bunch of time reading the manual, but there are things that you can control and what the game keeps track of. So in the game, we'll keep track of how many coins have entered through the left slot, how many coins have entered through the right slot, how many coins have entered through the center slot, how many times has the high score been broken, how many times has the replay been met, how many free games have been awarded by the game. And those are things that the displays will tell you. And again, these are important for an operator to see how a game's doing. If you're scrolling through your strikes and spares and find out that the game has been played 600 times last month and 300 times it gave out a free game, well, that's not good, right? We need to adjust the high score threshold, the replay threshold, or something like that. For most people that keep games at home, it doesn't matter too much. Even to most like street level operators, a lot of them don't care either, right? As long as the game's making money, they don't mind. But this is all very important stuff for back in the day. One thing that Williams did that really revolutionized the industry, we'll go on a little history tangent here, starting with High Speed, the first System 11 game. The System 11 game had an auto percentaging system. What does that mean? That means that the game would automatically raise or reduce the points required to get a free game, thus changing the high score threshold. So if you had a bunch of really bad pinball players like me playing at your location, the replay level would be quite low, which would allow a more average player to get a replay, thus making them feel really great and playing the game more. If you had like San Francisco free gold watch level players consistently playing your games, it would crank the replay score really high. This was revolutionary because it took a lot of the time spent collecting and working on your route was trying to really balance the amount of money you were making from a game versus how many free plays, whatever. This took a lot of that work out of it. So kind of neat.
That's awesome. There's this arcade in Japan that has a few EMs, and they have a sign on the top, and I guess maybe the knocker was taken out too for that import or something, but they'll be like, if you get 100,000 points, then you get a free piece of candy. So once you get to that, you walk over to the attendant and you're like, you point at it, your score, and then they're like, oh, here you go.
That's awesome.
Candy.
Is that the Silver Ball Planet?
No, that one's in Osaka. This was Tokyo. It's like Tokyo Wonderland. Huh. It's Retro Wonderland. It's just a small little arcade in a mall in Odaiba.
That's pretty cool.
They have like 10 pinball machines in there. It's probably the only place in Tokyo with that many games, public pinball.
Man, I can't wait to go. Really quick, like just to finish and round off that thought and give a concise-ish sort of history about the auto percentaging stuff. Williams patented everything. And as we know, especially like through the 90s and like early 2000s, like software patents, you could patent code and you could patent the way things were presented. So Williams patented the auto percentaging system. Fast forward a few years, and Gottlieb creates a game called Lights, Camera, Action. And one of the neat things on the left ramp of that, the left shot, upper left shot on that game, there was a ramp that would flip, and it would change where the ball would go or what it would do. I don't particularly remember 100%, but the point of the story is a few years after that game, there was a game called The Machine, Bride of Pinbot, which also had a rotating thing that would capture the balls and do different things with them. Gottlieb said, we have a good place for a lawsuit here. And Gottlieb took Williams to court. And I don't remember if they won or they settled, but part of the settlement was, well, we don't care, but you're going to give us the ability to use that auto percentaging software. So the Gottlieb games, the System 3 games through the 90s also had that auto percentaging stuff in there. So the more you know, expand your brain of useless pinball knowledge. Moving forward, is there any questions? I'm talking so much. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's a good question from Patrick Salmon.
Good. Ask it. I'm going to take a sip.
Depends on the region. He says, so my Black Knight won't boot up. It's kind of off topic to what we're talking about, but it was the first question that.
There's a lot of reasons why that game won't boot up.
It was more of a cry.
I feel for you. That is annoying.
It won't kick a ball out to start play.
Won't kick out. Okay, so here's the thing with Black Knight. We'll set this game aside for a second. Make sure that all 3 balls are accounted for. Black Knight has 3 balls, and there are 6 switches that need to have some combination of them closed to start a game. The game needs to have either all 3 balls in the trough, or it needs to have 1 ball in the trough and 2 balls in the lock up top. The game will start with 2 balls in the lock up top and 1 in the trough. So if the game is booting and it's actually playing, but you just can't get it to start, ensure that you have no switch problems and that the game can keep track of where all 3 of those balls are, because without that, it won't start. Anyways.
Hey, we do have a question real quick.
Okay. Yeah. So what do we need to do?
Okay, so the question is, how do I replace one of the score displays on a machine like this? What are your options for that?
On a machine like this, you would either repair the high voltage display or you would replace the high voltage display with a modern LED equivalent. On these Bally games, you do not have to replace all 5 at the same time. You could replace 1.
It looks better if you replace them all at the same time, though, right?
No, it depends. I mean, if you just want your game to work and you really don't care, you can replace 1. If you want them all to match perfectly, you would replace all 5. The modern pin scores, the ones that you could purchase right now, I remember when we did this game a couple weeks ago, I showed my Meteor, which had 1 pin score display in there. But that one was very cobbled together from a display I probably bought like 9 years ago with another board. It was a bad example.
They're much more upgraded now.
The display segments in the pin score displays we sell will very, very, very closely match the LED segments, and they are also dimmable. So if you were using a pin score and you were trying to hide 1 pin score with the rest of your displays here, if you were on a budget or just wanted to replace one, you could tone the brightness up or down to try to match it really well with these things. They're great. But yeah, and they're very simple to replace on this game. You have the game off, you unplug it, you assemble the pin score, put it in, plug it in, it's good to go. They're plug and play. Where were we at before I started this ridiculous tirade? 10,000 point replays. So right now, the game is set to give its first reward at 150,000 points. A lot of these games, let's reference the scorecard here, right? This game was in a home, so someone has had set it to give an extra ball at that threshold. I don't like that. I like the knocker. I don't need extra balls. I don't want to play forever. But what I'll generally do is if you brought me a game, I would generally try to match the replays to the scorecard. So let's say we wanted to keep it like that, and we wanted to have our first replay at 420,000 points. With a Bally game, you can set 3 replays, which are going to be audit numbers 1, 2, and 3. At home with my Bally games, usually what I'll do is I will keep, I'll set replay value number 1 for 10,000 points. That way it's essentially free play. We'll never run out of that pool of credits. And then I'll just match it on the card, right? I'll set it to 520,000 points, and that way I know if I hear that knocker a second time, I'm doing good, and then if I hear the knocker another time, I'll be doing really good. But let's say, for example, we did want to match 420,000 points. To adjust that value, we do not use this button here. The button here will if we hit the red button, the coin door test button, it would advance us to audit number 2, which is the credit match. Again, it says 1 down there. Do you want to put the handheld cam on, Emoto?
Yes. Sorry, we're all freaking out about Twitch is being weird right now.
Did we get DMCA'd?
Yeah, from you playing Led Zeppelin before the show started.
Yeah. Okay, anyways, so if we needed to get it to 420,000 points, we need to use the credit button. If I depress the credit button, we are going to raise the value by 10,000. That is the lowest number that we can raise the value by. If I hold it down, it will scroll up. Now, the annoying thing, you cannot go backwards. If we skipped over 420 and went to 430, the 2 options are to scroll all the way through to 990,000 points and then go back to 420. Or there is a switch in the head that we can use. This is not 100% true all the time. On some Bally games, it might be when they went to the -35 computer. So games like my Xenon, I think it's basically any game that has a 3-slot coin door. That might not be true, but I do know it is true with Xenon, and that game was made December of '80, I think. If you screwed up here and you needed to reset, you could flick the coin switch for the rightmost coin slot, and that will reset the audit position to 0. Very handy. Something that operators probably clamored for a really long time because this system is a pain in the butt. If not, we need to come all the way up here into the head, and we need to hit clear. No. Oh, geez, I don't remember what it is on the Altec. It's not going to be SelfTest. I think it's clear because reset will reset the whole computer. So let me hit this. Bam. And now we have 0. Let me go get a stock Bally computer just so this can be preserved, and maybe it will be useful to someone who doesn't have an Altec. Give me one moment. Here is a Stern computer. Here is a Bally computer.
Oh, he's coming back.
This is a -35 computer. This is a later computer. This would have been used in, again, games like Viking and Xenon. This game would have used the -17 computer, which will look a teeny bit different. But if you needed to do that on a Bally computer, generally your switch is going to be up here. And it is you depress that, and that will reset this to 0. This is.
How do you press it? How do you press it?
This switch, there's a. I don't know if this is universal, if they used it on all switch or all the computers, but there's a button you push upwards, and that will reset the computer or reset that value. I believe all the Stern computers are like this. I don't remember if the MPU 100 is the same. This is the MPU 200. This would be used on games like Meteor and Iron Maiden and Stargazer, etc. Sea Witch. It's just a big Gigantor button that you just press down.
Push down. Nice.
So
it doesn't even look like a button. Like I wouldn't have.
It kind of looks like a keyboard.
Intrinsically be like, oh, there's a reset button I need to push.
So
that's cool.
That's kind of it. I really wanted to get that information out there because it's kind of hard to discern all of this crap by reading the manual. So, again, for posterity's sake, right, we would set this to 10,000 points. That way it will be very difficult for us to ever run out of credits. I will progress to the next value. And what we will do now is usually what I would do now, again, for a customer's game or my home game, I would proceed to set the values to what the scorecard says, just for the joy of hearing the knocker, which I will do now.
Nice.
Lucky number
missed
420.
David's explanation of why the knockers are cut sometimes. It was kind of cool.
Because people don't like fun?
No, well, actually, he says EMs are often missing chimes because, for the chime box, really. But because operators didn't want chimes in Europe, and games that were sent there or made there didn't have them. So even a bow and arrow that was never in Europe can be missing that unit because it likely got transplanted into a Europe game.
That's very possible. I've seen people do all sorts of crazy things. Like instead of unplugging the solenoids or cutting the solenoid wires, they would. I've seen like T-shirts and towels and rags shoved underneath or put on top of the chimes to muffle them. It's kind of insane. So what I will generally do going forward here is sometimes I'm trying to see. Give me one sec while I try to relearn myself. But generally, I will go in now and I will just clear all of the remaining data. A lot of the times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 is current credit, so you could knock the credits off if we went to the next setting. Okay, so here we go. The rest of the audits would be as follows. This isn't super interesting, but again, just to keep all this information in one spot. I don't know what number 4 is. Number 5 is going to, it shows you the maximum value is 0 to 40. That is current credits. Number 6, 10,009,999. Total plays, played and freed games. Yeah, so these are the rest of the things that it keeps track of. The reason why it keeps track of coin shoots 1, 2, and 3, you also have to remember that in other countries and in other certain locales, maybe pinball wasn't set to be a quarter. Pushing for pinball to be a quarter didn't happen until the mid-70s. And even then, some of the games in the mid-70s would do 2 games for a quarter, and some of them still had dime slots. In the early 80s, Bally really pushed to use dollar coins. Let's put on the small camera again really quick, and we'll use my Xenon as an example. This, again, a classic Bally coin door. So the way an operator could track this, right, is coin slot number 1, 2, 3. This is how you could keep track of money, right? If you had 15 or 50 coins going through slot number 2, that means you made $50 on Susan B. Anthony's. If you had 4 coins go through here, you made $1, right? But then let's think of it in like the UK or Germany. Like this would be 1 Deutschmark, this would be 2 Deutschmark, this would be 5 Deutschmark, and each of these would obviously reflect what they would give you. But it was very common in the early 80s, and Bally was really pushing to try to get people to put dollar coins in, so much that they had a Susan B. Anthony sticker made for the coin doors. It's kind of cool.
Wondered. Yeah.
You can get reproductions of these. We sell them. I really like this faded and kind of janky one. I like the patina on these games a lot, so that's why I kept that one on. So generally what I will do going forward, it's not super important, but I'm very OCD, but I will just reset all of these fields. Sometimes the RAM can get corrupted and just display all sorts of garbage into these fields.
So
on certain games,
you just push that button to reset it?
Exactly.
That you showed us?
I just go through each of these until I get to the end. Once you reach the end of test, the game will reset. And it will reboot and go into attract mode, as so. So now I've gone through, the game is rebooting, and now it starts over. The only other reason to go in there, especially if you maybe had just put an Altec computer into your game and you didn't read the instructions and you don't know this and you're like, oh no, why is my Fathom making bleeps and bloops or something? Some games do have a setting, it's usually number 16, I think, setting number 16 here, that will change the way that the sound is produced. Like on Xenon, I could make it make chime noises. I could make it do just sound, or I could make it do sound and background noise. So there are some other settings on other games that you might need to go into your menu setting for and refer to your manual to try to find where that setting is.
Nice.
I'm trying to be pretty thorough here. Am I boring everybody? Is everyone quitting?
No, this is good. I mean, I'm learning a lot.
One other thing that I do get questions about or customers don't understand, you know, just like with cars, when you do pinball, it's like, well, since you worked on it, it does something different now. If you were to ever replace your computer with an Altec, there are some hard-coded things on these Bally computers.
Where are you going to go? Down here?
So if you look here, you've got this set of 32 dip switches, 4 sets of 8. Those are also recreated here. This set of dip switches, again, this is how you select your program and what game is running. On an old computer, right, you don't have that. You put the software in using these EPROMs and you go. But you do store some settings and the game will change the way it functions using those switches. So I think like the first 16 of them change the value of the coin, right? How many pulses it will give depending on what coin slot you put in it, right? So that's the way that you can make a Susan B. Anthony coin give you 5 credits for 1 pulse, right? You have to have the right coin mech or coin rejector so it will accept the coin, but you could use these dip switches to program. Okay, slot number 2 is going to give 5 credits for 1 pulse. A pulse would be the one closure of the switch. Some of these do affect gameplay. Some of these switches in a certain combination might, like the scorecard said, for example, some of these switches in a certain combination will reward you with an extra ball instead of a free game. Some of these switches might, in a certain combination, might give you like 50 or 100,000 points for reaching a replay instead of a free game or an extra ball. There were still some jurisdictions, even at this time, where being awarded something with a cash value was still illegal, which is why there was a necessity for add-a-ball and replay versions of some electromechanical pinball machines. So when I will replace these computers, especially for a customer, I will recreate the settings that they used to have. So you don't get that phone call and say, well, when I used to get this many points, I'd get an extra ball. Well, okay. Keep that in mind. All that information is in your manual. So if you don't have a manual, you need one. Yes, you can find them online, but that is a pain in the butt. When they are all here, it is wonderful. It's very easy to see what's going on. For example, let's look at some of those things that it changes, right? Multiplier adjustment. The ABC adjustment, the center lane center lane. You can adjust these things to be the automatic strike adjustment, right? It'll be on all the time if switch number 31 is set to on. It'll be alternate, on or off, if switch 31 is off. So these are like, setting the games up for better or worse players. And this is what operators would do, is track and see how well a game is doing and change these settings until it fit a happy medium. Operating games back in the day was a lot of work. It still is a lot of work.
But it's different, yeah.
But now people don't care. They just play pinball and want to see lights flash. So it is a little easier in some respects. What are we doing for time? Do we have time to jump in and start messing with a few things?
It's 4:20 right now.
Okay, well, how about this? Let's do a really quick thing with lamps. I think I could probably give a pretty decent overview in about 20 minutes. In reality, Kyle's 20 minutes probably means it will take us an hour, but let's see what we can do.
I try to tell him that all the time. Yeah.
Let me get the glass off, and let's just go over something really quick. Unless we want to save it for next week. We could continue working on this game a teeny bit more next week because there still is a lot of content that could be shown on this game. Should we do a long Q&A today? What's the chat say?
What do you guys feel? Do you want to go into lamps right now, or do you want to do Q&A?
Or do you want to do both?
Everyone's just excited. I said
Do you want to see Kyle take this game apart and like throw things across the room?
And Twitch is dying.
Uh-oh. I think this is plate glass. If your game has plate glass in it, get rid of it and put tempered glass in.
Plate glass? Oh no.
Why is Twitch dying? What's going on? Inform me.
According to our moderator, Midge, they're reporting degraded performance and login issues right now across the entire server of Twitch.
Well, that sucks.
Nolan's requesting you to sing Black Dog. Colin crack a beer.
I don't know if I could sing that song without any booze in me.
Plate glasses for eating off of. Yes. Yeah, just make that your dining table and put some tempered glass in there.
I'm pretty sure I could recreate these. I could probably get these remade pretty easy. The Bally...
What are you looking at?
I'm looking at the Bally chime boxes. Here, take a look-see on the small camera.
Yeah, we want to see.
Let me not show you our wire rack.
I know, stop.
I'm going to turn the camera, so sorry if it gives you a little bit of goofy. These are all flat parts. The Gottlieb chime boxes are extraordinarily complicated. I forgot the Bally ones are very simple. There isn't a ton of hardware to these things. This might actually, I can be really selfish and have these recreated for my own personal gain, so I could put them in my bow and arrow, but also because someone else is bound to be missing them. The hard part is definitely this reverberation chamber, though. This Bally chimes definitely sound the best, and I believe it's because of the way they designed this chamber. Williams chimes are very clanky and discordant. Gottlieb chimes, actually no. Gottlieb chimes definitely sound the best, but Bally's up there. I'd like to see if I could 3D print this and if it would be a viable solution. So we'll have to use a combination of this game and bow and arrow to do that. I'm going to get these chime bars remade. It is very easy to cut your own chime bars, but I'd like to have them mass produced so you could just easily get ones off the shelf.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Oh, sorry. Ty said Gottlieb chimes are the best.
Yeah, no, I agree. I changed my mind. Gottlieb chimes are absolutely the best. Here, let's show some of this stuff. A lot of people don't know what this is. Games will generally have, there's three kinds of tilt switches in a pinball game. You've got your standard plumb bob tilt. Every game has this. Older games will have a ball roll tilt. So there's like a 5/8 or whatever ball in here. It's not the same size as a pinball. What's up?
Where's your ball?
Well, I just take them out because they're a pain. I think maybe it's 15/16. I think they're a little bit too small to be a regular pinball. But what this will do is if you were to pick the game up to try to make it floatier, the ball would roll here and close a switch. Someone has mangled this thing. But what it would do is when the ball, this is conductive, right? You see you've got a wire here, which is attached to this. The ball will roll here, and if these things touch, the game will just automatically turn off and reboot. The ball will be the conductor between this wire and that wire, thus making a, a slam tilt. Then you've also got slam tilt switch here. So you've got a cabinet slam tilt switch. If that closes, the game will end. You have a slam tilt switch. Generally, I think they stopped putting them on the playfield. No, they didn't. Okay. There is one on the playfield here. And these are game killers. When the game is in progress and this closes, the game is over. It reboots and turns the game off as opposed to just losing your bonus. These are here to detect very, very rough play. This one is here to detect, slight cheating. This is just the Peacekeeper. This one here is for dropping and slamming the game. And then you have another slam tilt switch on the coin door. I guess the thing is with older games, they would use leaf switches, again, that were relatively spaced close together to check for coins. So I guess the story goes is like people used to pick games up and drop them. and then thus dropping them, that would jiggle the coin switch, then giving you a credit. So they put these switches here to keep, people kosher.
Oh, nice. Frank Todd said ball roll tilt only tilts the ball in play.
Oh, it does? Okay, my bad. Don't cheat. I mean, I always take them out. They're annoying. Either I'll take the ball out, or sometimes what I'll do is I'll keep the ball here, and I will just pinch these together. Instead of doing any sort of like actual harm to the game, I will pinch these guys together, thus making it so the ball can't actually roll.
I see what you mean.
So,
yeah, Pin Daddy said you take the balls out and he puts the balls back in. When he gets the game that's missing. So you guys are going back.
Most of the time I won't take them out. Most of the time I will just pinch this thing together.
Yeah, Indie Pins, we see you. Twitch back.
Man, it is such a shame that this game is in such awful shape. Look at this playfield.
Cheating. He took the balls out.
It's so nice. Like
it is really clean looking for.
It's super duper clean, but the game looks like garbage.
30-plus-year-old game.
And this is here. Let's go into a tirade about home use only, right? Like this game was home use only for longer than it was not home use only. So, people are going and putting on their ads. It's like, oh, it's home use only and charging $1,000 more for a pinball game. Well, here, I'll sell this one for $2,500. I've got documented home use only from the dude that's owned it since 1983. Or mostly home use only, but it still looks like crap. It really doesn't mean anything. Here's a pro tip, home use only. That kind of should make you a little bit more skeptical because home use only means it's never been maintained. Think about that.
Those are fighting words.
Kind of. Let's do a Q&A. I don't really feel like getting my hands super dirty on this thing today. Maybe I'll start taking some things off the top, but let's save troubleshooting lamps and solenoids for maybe next week's video.
That would be a great episode to focus on.
I think so too. I don't want to rush.
So, yeah, Kevin Moore will print you a home use only certificate for only $500.
Okay, cool, man. Give me your Venmo or PayPal. I'll send it over now. As seen on PinTech.
One of the questions actually was from Kevin Permonson, helped us out with that, but he was asking if there's a easy way to convert a standard lamp driver board to run LEDs.
Yes, there is
LED flicker eliminator adapter kit.
Yep, that's the best way to do it. It's incredible. And as most of you know, I mean, my preference is to not replace, but to repair. That way I can still run my original hardware. I can repair it so it works, and then I can install something on top of it to make it work with LEDs. Now, that being said, with the Alltech lamp driver board, you do not need to do, there's a very simple modification. There's nothing crazy you have to do. It includes the parts. You have to like flip a switch or something and then feed the game a reference voltage for the feature lamps, and then they will not flicker. The feature lamps will not flicker. They're really trick. So again, that's the good thought that goes into these products that Alltech has been putting together for a long time now.
Nice. Oh, Frank Todd said back in the day at Brady Distributing, we had to adjust the ball roll tilt on every new game. They were never adjusted from the factory.
Huh. I'm sorry for undoing all your work. Which Brady did you work at? Was that, I mean, I know this game came from Brady, or it was repaired at Brady at some point, which is kind of cool. I'm excited to actually play this game. There's a few things that I need to ungoof. I'm very sick of doing pop bumpers, but I need to do the pop bumpers on this game. And also, someone has swapped in a non-standard slingshot kicker, which is kind of annoying, but I can source one, no big deal.
Well, let's go into, sorry guys, I'm dying. Let's go into a Q&A.
Yeah.
If anyone has any questions for Kyle, it doesn't have to be about Classic Bally's, strikes and spares, pinball in general. Keep it pinball relevant. He's not going to sing Black Dog and shake his hips Even though it's been requested like 500 times already. I know he won't. So we got some pinball tech questions. Ask this guy.
Only if you give me some booze, but we won't be doing that on this stream. Maybe on the after hours stream sometime. I'd probably get us DMCA'd if I did that. I don't want to do
that. Chuck Webster. Yeah, see, everyone that was on Twitch had to come over to Facebook. Do you know what size capacitors to use on target switches?
Yes. It's a 0.01 microfarad. Let me get one. I don't want to say the wrong thing on air. Yes. Okay, so that's actually goodness. Now I need to find them in my parts box. Let me bring my parts box up on the table so I don't have to just continue being off camera. Oh crap, I don't have any room on the table. I'll make some room. It's very important with these old Bally's. Like I said, the computers are slow on these things, and the way the switch matrix work is the computer is always listening for a connection between the switch column and the switch row. And these computers are slow, right? They can't keep up with a bunch of things going on at one time. So what Bally did, they would install these little capacitors that would kind of keep that signal high for just a little bit longer. And what you'll find is you'll absolutely nail like a stand-up target, and you won't get credit for it. So you'll catch the ball, and you'll go back in, and you'll nail it again. And you're like, wait, that's not working. That is a cause of needing to replace that capacitor. I have no idea where I put them in my toolbox right now.
Niles Hartman said 0.047 or 0.050.
That's what it is. Yeah, 0.047. I think if you go on our website, it always made me really mad that it was so hard for me to find it when I couldn't remember the actual value. So I made it now where if you just type in Bally target capacitor, it'll come up. So.
Nice.
I swear I was looking at one. This is frustrating.
Frank said he worked at the Brady Distributing in Charlotte, North Carolina, and he repaired all pinball boards, Bally, Stern, Atari, and Gottlieb. Wow.
That's awesome. This game has a bunch of Brady service tags on it. I wonder which camera's on. This one?
I can go to the handheld.
No, that's cool.
If you grab it.
Maybe, can you go back in your records and can you see if you put 09441 onto strikes and spares at any time?
Nice.
Thanks for picking up my slack on the capacitor question, by the way.
Okay, so Mike Kunzelman asked, I don't know if I missed it, but what makes this particular machine in bad shape? Do you want to just go over a super, super quick one-sentence elevator pitch of
the playfield's just toast. It's
oh wait.
It was a game that lived in someone's game room for 30 years, and they never replaced the pinball. Put on the small camera, would you, or the handheld?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Someone never replaced the pinball, and it just started to do a really big number, leaving a lot of what we would call here ball swirl, and also. This is kind of normal for lots of these older games, though, is where these the inserts start to kind of cup. And when they start to cup or sink a little bit, the ball will start catching the edge of the screened playfield, which will then degrade the art and then start chipping away. I don't particularly care. I'd rather have a pinball game that plays good and isn't a beauty queen. So this will be very fun to enjoy for my wife and I and guests that come over. But a lot of people would look at this and just be horrified, I'm sure. But this is the reason it's not in great shape. But I didn't pay much for it, which makes me happy. Otherwise, though, it's actually in pretty decent shape. I mean, the cabinet artwork, it's not that bad. It's faded in some places. I just hit it with a bunch of Novus to get some gunk off. But the things that I like that are in good shape, right? It's got a really nice coin door. That is something that is harder to bring back if it's really crummy. The cabinet is in good shape, but I mean, I guess it does have a roached playfield and a roached back glass, so, you know, conditions relative.
Oh, Daniel said, my 8-Ball Deluxe is 100 times worse.
you know what? But it doesn't matter because you love it, right? Like, I'd much rather, you know, you have a game that's in bad shape that you absolutely adore than someone who has like the world's nicest of something that might not matter to them as much.
Nice. Let's see. Kevin Moore said.
Here they are.
William DCS soundboard. Random loud brrr sound. Bad 10,000 UF caps, or just cold solder joints on them.
Take it out and look. You're either gonna find some nasty, crummy, cracked solder, or you will maybe see evidence of a blown out capacitor. I'm sitting at the desk now if you want to change the camera.
Sorry, I was like reading through all the comments.
But I mean, here's the thing, right? Like your soundboard, what I would do is you always kind of want to start with the easiest and quickest thing first. If you're comfortable repairing circuit boards, replace all of the electrolytic capacitors first. It's inobtrusive, it's easy and fast. If that solves your problem, great. If it doesn't, at least you can rule one thing out. Soundboards are a little more black magic to me because it's a lot more signal level component repair. So sometimes with soundboards, you will need to bust out the oscilloscope and see what's going on. But I mean, kind of as a rule of thumb, anything that's like 20 years old and uses electrolytic capacitors, especially when it's a soundboard, probably deserves to be replaced. So give it a shot. If not, there's a bunch of very qualified people that would be able to repair that for you too. It is very difficult to track down those things that are kind of...
Thanks for stopping by, Chuck.
Intermittent though, right? Like you don't know what actually causes that, so yeah.
So IndiePins asked, I need to replace a leaf contact on my Foursquare. Is it difficult to match the type on your website? Any tips? It's a good question.
It is just because there are many choices. So that's one of like the disadvantages of the amazing selection we have, is that we have so many listings. Sometimes it's sort of difficult to find the exact one you're looking for, especially when you're like looking for just like switchblade, which we have hundreds of. So what I would recommend is there's two measurements with a leaf switch, right? An important one, is like the total length. The length from let's say call it the bottom, where it mounts into the stack, to where the contact is. Look at those sorts of things. I know that we do have, I think we have some leaf switch leaves that have like lots of holes in them, and then we have contacts that you could get the kind of multi-purpose switch leaf and then like pound a contact in where you might need it. If you're having a lot of trouble and you're unsure, don't hesitate to email me and I could try to give you a hand finding the right one. So, but it is kind of difficult to find sometimes.
Oh, I got a question. What's the shipping code?
PT
socket.
Do I remember?
I just put it in.
Oh, no, PT socket?
Remember. PT socket.
PT socket.
Thanks for asking, Jack. Okay, we have another question. Oh, wait, from Frank. We didn't log the white tag numbers, but the 3-digit code done with a soldering iron was a Julian date for warranty purposes. If you see a 3-digit code on the back of the tag, it was the employee number of the tech. Mine was 533. That would be so cool if it was 530.
Dude, that's cool. This one does not have... Oh, wait. Oh, no. Okay, someone did... This one's 288. Who was that?
Who's 288?
Dude, that's really cool. Thanks for
Look
filling
for
me in on that.
533, and then we could be like, Frank.
That's really funny. I'm going to try to store that in my memory banks and keep looking for those Brady tags. That's awesome, man.
That's really cool. Okay, let's see. I'm going back to the questions. We've had a lot come in. Thank you.
Cool.
Keeping Kyle on his toes.
Yeah. Let me see if I can turn my brain on. Ugh.
I know. I saw a good one somewhere. Wait, what's at the bottom?
Drink a little bit of water while we're scrolling. I don't know if anyone remembers, but I grenaded my favorite solder sucker. And then instead of being sad, I just pulled another one out that was exactly like it. But I did find a supplier that sells the same solder sucker in like 1/2 size smaller. So it's not like the teeny ones that you can get. And it wasn't like the super big one like I had. But I'm going to give this thing a whirl. And if they end up being, if it ends up meeting Kyle's seal of quality, I think we will offer these on our website because I really like these solder suckers. They're very serviceable and just high quality, good desoldering pumps.
Jonathan Barr says, it looks like vodka to me. It's what, your water.
Wouldn't you like to know?
He's sloshed. It's rubbing alcohol. Okay, Pin Daddy had a question. One was wanting to know what conditioner you use, but the most important one is if the bottom plastic base of a coil is snapped, but the wires are still all connected and working, would you recommend replacement or leave it alone since it still works?
I mean, I'd leave it alone. If it's not causing a problem and if it doesn't look precarious, there's nothing wrong with leaving it. You know, sometimes I'll have flipper coils or something that will snap, you know, break a little edge or something like that. And again, if it's not hurting anything, there's no reason to not use it. They're expensive, you know. I wouldn't replace it unless it was causing an issue. The wires are insulated, obviously, using like a varnish. So if the wire's touching something, it won't necessarily short. But again, if it's in there and if it's working, just leave it. That's what I do.
Nice. I'm gonna skip that for a second. Daniel said he had a hum problem on his fire, but he solved the problem with installing a plastic washer on the sound mounting screws.
Yeah.
Wow.
Interference
That's a cool
and
hack.
grounding. Remember before we started, I was complaining that Kings of Steel was making like a ton of noise?
Yeah.
And then I wiggled it. It's just bad grounding on the driver board. Whenever the displays switch to the high score, it goes like, and then I wiggled the little plug and it went away. So grounding can solve a lot of audio issues.
Kevin said, are there a better replacement switch for System 6 drop targets?
Nope. Not really, unfortunately. It's again, it's like if you read the story, you know, Firepower was supposed to have drop targets in the center, but Steve Ritchie found the drop targets to be inadequate. He's used other words to describe to me Williams drop targets before, but you know, Williams knew they were crap, and that's why starting with Black Knight, they started using a leaf switch, and then later went to a micro switch to just detect when it's down. The System 3 and 6 drop targets, the little circuit board on the back, we did a video about this, and I've explained it before, but I mean, you know, when the drop target falls, it makes contact with one part of a printed circuit board that gives you points, and then the one on the bottom will line up when all three are down or all 4 or 5 are down to say, hey, we're all down, reset us. So.
David had a nice alternate opinion about the broken coil plastic. Okay. He suggests replace the broken coil with the plastic broken, just 2 tiny wires holding the things together, and vibration is likely to break a wire eventually, probably during your big party where everyone wants to play.
That's true too. I guess, yeah, it depends on where the bobbin breaks. A coil is composed of, I mean, like 3 things. You've got your bobbin, which is the plastic part. You've got the wire that is all ratified and connected to the lugs, and then you've got a wrapper. But, you know, again, yeah, it depends on where it breaks. If you had a coil that had a corner broken off like here, whatever, not a big deal. If your bobbin is broken and you've got a dangling lug with a wire on it, that's a little more precarious, and you need to be the judge of, you know, is that safe and secure? If this was floating around and it might vibrate and jiggle its way down to something and cause a short, you break your game, you're not happy, or whoever's playing it thinks they broke your game and apologizes profusely. So, yeah, you know, Coils are expensive, but coils aren't expensive. So it depends on how it's broken. But yeah, if it was broken on the lug side, you should probably replace it. If it's cracked here,
Jack K asked, do you know of any repair guys that are reasonable for repairs in the Los Angeles area? Game Doc? Is that wait, that's a store. Isn't there like a
I mean,
there's a few people in California on the chat. Can you guys help him out?
Yeah,
Otherwise,
it depends on what kind of game you have, but you know, you just got to check yourself and think like what's reasonable, right? I charge a lot of money to fix games, but generally when I fix a game, I come once and it is done. There are no coming backs. There are no, you know, I want to come in, get it done once and try to do it as effectively and efficiently as possible. So, you know, sometimes you might want to pay someone who might charge a teeny bit more if they've got good references, because you might only need to let them in your house once, you know?
Yeah, or just fly Kyle in.
I'd love to come back to LA. Maybe once COVID's over, I'm happy to come and help. But yeah, there's people down in LA. Some are definitely better at some things than others. And maybe if you send me an email, I could try to hook you up with somebody. Again, just you got to check the also, it is COVID times. So some people might not be willing to do house calls as frequently as they used to.
For sure.
People have been bringing me games. I don't.
Yeah, contact Ace Gogi and get their pinball repair techs information.
They got fancy games there.
Oh, and from mTort, Downtown LA Arcade Repair Services. Yeah, that's another one too.
Yeah, there's a lot in LA. You're in a good spot to get your game fixed. And I miss LA. I could really go for like a really nice bowl of pho or get some like really swanky Korean food right now in Koreatown.
There's this guy with like 4 names in his entire name. JMWR. Let's call him. He says, "Who's the host? Can this guy even play?" Look, we got a troll in our chat.
Nope.
Just kidding. That's
I know that guy.
Transmission Arcade. Thanks for joining us. He actually asked, he has a Mars Trek that doesn't let me score enough points. I plunge, I flip, and the ball just flicks me off as it drains and insults my mom. Please help. I need more points. Any tips for him?
Yeah. You'll need a hammer to smash the glass and then an arm to yank the power cord out of the wall.
All right, I'm going to turn off the stream. It's getting violent.
I'll come
Kyle
fix
will give you some
Trek.
pinball tips for some chorizo bread, chorizo pan. Okay,
you're still doing the chorizo? I'll be there tonight. I'm going to take some home.
I just saw a picture of it. It looks delicious. Okay. Any solution for a Data East pinball game that has a loud humming noise in attract mode?
No, that's normal. Again, there are things you can do to lessen it. Make sure all of the ground planes are good on your power supply. I mean, there are ways to solve it, but it is probably not worth your time or money. Remember, these games, even when those games were new, I mean, they're kind of noisy. They were never intended to be in your living room in a quiet environment. You know, all your pinball games were in bars or arcades or movie theaters or something like that. So those noises weren't really, you didn't hear those, right? Like I just mentioned too, like my Kings of Steel right now has a loud hum to it when the display changes. The Data East games are notorious for having a hum. I've never actually spent the time to figure out the easiest way to solve it, but there are people that have been trying to crack it on Pinside that I'll come and check in every once in a while. But usually those issues are from grounds or capacitors or goofy or combination of things. It's usually a big, long combination. Turn the volume up and don't stop playing. Pro tip.
Yeah. And for anyone trying to use the free domestic shipping for orders over $99 24-hour code, it is case sensitive. So make sure you turn your caps lock on and you blast it. PT-socket. All caps. And it should work. So we got Super Kmart on the stream and says
I miss
friend
Super
of mine.
Kmarts.
I know, right? A friend of mine recently acquired a Stern NBA pin, but the basketball in the center is black because the sticker wore out. Do you know if there's a chance of a repro?
Huh. Yes. There's a chance. That's what I'll have to search out. I actually don't know anybody with an NBA. I will see if I can make that happen. That's a good one because that game they usually get trashed, and a lot of those are trashed. That game got played a lot when they were new. Hey, thanks for the pro tip. Thanks for the suggestion. I'll take that. Look at that one.
Yeah, write it down somewhere.
NBA. I used to service an NBA.
We have a few more questions before we sign off. And for those who are still bearing with Twitch and its craziness right now, we will go raid somebody. But let's see. How do you know what speaker lights to purchase? From Chris Shower.
Which speaker lights? I'm pretty sure that all of the speaker light kits that we do have on our website are associated correctly to the games that they do fit on. I think there's definitely a difference between the Spike 1 and Spike 2 speaker kits, because DMD versus LCD screen, but they should be associated correctly. So on our website, you would go find the item, and then there'll be a tab on the bottom that will say product compatibility, and it should say your game on it. Lit speakers. Adding lights is fun.
Kyle, what wire stripper tool do you use?
Only the best.
Show them the Marco one.
A very inexpensive Johnson tools, or Jonard tools. It's a WS5. I really like these. I don't like the ones where you like squeeze them and then it like pinches the wire and then pulls away. I like these like just old school style standard wire strippers. They do take you got to find a good hand to doing it because you can just slice wires. But these things are cheap. There's nothing to fail on them except for they get dull and you replace them every couple years.
Yeah, they're affordable enough that when they get dull, just buy another one.
I've actually sharpened them before too. I used to have a pair where you could actually separate the two sides, and I've actually put them down and on a stone, and I was like, I'm totally wasting my time, but this is really fun. I like small, light tools. That's the same reason I don't have like a ratcheting crimper. My crimp tool is like that thick, so I can fit it in my toolbox that is like already way too full. But I did promise everyone that I would get one day, so I'll try it out.
Nice.
Tools.
Real techs use their teeth.
Yeah, what if I don't have real teeth? What if I've already broken them all, pulling plungers out of melted flipper coils?
Awesome. Well, let's see. I do have a random announcement. So do you know Taylor Reese? He makes the reels.
This is a great announcement. Yes, I know Taylor. He's super,
so
I've been listening to his podcast for a long time. He's cool.
Slap Save? Is Slap Save, right?
No,
sorry, that was Jason Fowler's.
Yeah, it's This Flippin' Podcast. Him and Tommy.
This Flippin' Podcast. Yeah, and it has a little hand thingy. Sorry, Taylor. There's a lot of people in pinball. Anyways, his daughter Ella, wait, where's my link?
Yeah,
is selling Girl Scout cookies, and if she sells 100,000 boxes of Girl Scout cookies, then he's gonna buy her a puppy. So Girl Scout cookies are surprisingly cheap. So I'm gonna drop a link. If you guys want some Girl Scout cookies, I literally just bought like 20 boxes, and they came in one day, and we've just been binging on Girl Scout.
They came in one day?
It's crazy.
Dang.
I just bought it and it showed up. Scared me.
I'm gonna have to go and do it too.
It was a giant box, and I was like, wow. They changed the names of a lot of the Girl Scout cookies to Like Samoas are called coconut something caramel coconut delights now and stuff like that, but they're still delicious. Still the same old Girl Scout cookie taste.
I really like.
Oh, Nolan said make it a kitten. I'm down for some Thin Mints. Maybe she'll change it to a cat. Every little girl needs a puppy dog. Come on.
Yeah, every person needs a pet because pets are great friends. I'm gonna go and get some Thin Mints and some of the peanut butter cookies. I really like the peanut butter cookies.
Yes, that's good. Yeah.
That's cool. That's a great announcement. And I think that Lauren did an interview with Ella on her podcast, Lauren Gray, on the Backbox Pinball podcast. So if you want to, she does interviews with like, you know, younger folks that play pinball, and they're super cute. Are you shortening the link?
No, I had a short link, but it didn't work, so now I'm pasting the obnoxiously long link.
Oh. Emoto produces this whole show on my laptop, and we use a screen sharing service, and it's amazing because I can see her working on my laptop. She does all the work. I don't do anything.
Gosh, how am I?
You need to give her a lot of props for doing this whole show, because without her, I would just be a blumbling idiot.
Buy some cookies. Support the pinball community any ways we can. Well, everyone, it's been a great show. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you. Oh, Josh Rainwater asked what our dream themes that haven't been made yet. I will say mine quickly, which is a Studio Ghibli Hayao Miyazaki themed pin that includes all of his movies on one.
Yeah.
Made, but that's my dream.
What's
your dream theme pin?
I couldn't really beat that, but I'd say Centaur 3. That would probably... Nice. No, I'd actually I'd like another Star Trek pin, but not based on the movies. I would really like to see a Star Trek Deep Space Nine pin. That would actually probably be my favorite thing ever.
You still haven't watched my Star Trek fan film.
I know. I need to do that. I can't stop watching Deep Space Nine. I've just been watching that show for 20 years. It's just...
Oh, thank you, C. Bobby, for ordering awesome cup holders from us, our pin buddies.
Yeah, those things are great.
Or your AIQ. Oh, what a great game. I've been spending a lot of time editing with Avengers Infinity Quest, and it's really fun to look at.
I'm excited to put some of those pin buddies on my games
never-ending story. All right, y'all. We're going to leave you. We're going to find someone to raid, actually, on Twitch. And next week, I'll have set up some giveaways. We haven't done any swag giveaways in a while, and this year we are gonna make some more swag. Our magnetic bottle opener idea, maybe our always be tightening bent screwdriver. Kind of cool. We had a few other swag ideas out there.
Gribble says, would Centaur 3 be exactly the same as Centaur? Yes.
Yeah, it's gotta be, right?
With a ramp. I'm going to keep, while you're looking for someone to raid, I'm going to scroll through really quick. I love looking at the chat. I just can't stand to listen to my voice, so I never go back and re-watch the videos. Someone said Starship Troopers. Heck yeah. It's a cheaper Medieval Madness. It's a good game.
Oh, well, I don't have to look at this guy. All right, we're going to go raid Manu. Mystery Pinball Theater 3000. He has a great stream. He's out of San Francisco, usually streaming at Free Gold Watch, one of the coolest places to play out there. And what is he doing? He's cleaning his glass. What game is this? He's playing Dialed In.
I love Dialed In. That's a great game.
I love it too.
Isle Waifu Pillow. That would take too much stuffing. Pillow. I'm way too long to make a waifu pillow out of.
You're gonna have to. What is it? The Only's channel. What is it called?
The what?
Where you have your private fans.
Oh, OnlyFans?
OnlyFans.
Yeah, I'm gonna start a pinball repair OnlyFans. That's gonna be me. Never mind. I'm not gonna talk about it. Someone's gonna steal my idea.
Giant pillow. Nolan's been on fire all day today.
Oh, I didn't show anybody my Novus stain. You want to see something gross? Look at this.
Oh yeah, okay. So 2 seconds before we start the show, Kyle starts screaming, saying he got Novus exploded all over him. Hold on, let me cut to the camera. And he was freaking out. Oh wait, let me get to the big one.
Look how terrible this is.
On your, all right, we're gonna go ahead and raid and end the stream now, because
that was weird.
It's Novus and.
Now I gotta watch.
All right. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We'll see you next Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern. We'll be doing some lamps. Look, and now it's just all right. We gotta get out of here.